Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. My name is Dew with Dew Dodson Designs. I'm a decorative furniture artist and also a brand ambassador for Dixie Belle Paint. And I'm super excited today to get to show you all the basic steps that you need to do before you actually paint. And I think this is a very, very crucial part of painting furniture that a lot of people just kind of overlook and just want to paint because nobody wants to do the dirty work, right? I get it, I don't either, but it is very, very important. So what I'm going to do today is go over the whole process of painting your furniture from the minute you get it in your door to the next step and then all the way into the finish. So hang tight, let me get my supplies together and we'll get started. Okay, I am ready to get started. So I got my piece in, we've got it in, I've inspected it, it looks good to go, no major repairs. You want to look for those by the way that don't need repairing because that's so much easier, but we get it, sometimes you got to repair. But what you want to do, the very first step you want to do is clean your furniture well. Even before you sand it, you do not want to sand your furniture down while it's dirty because that's going to grind that dirt right down into the surface of the wood and you're not going to get a good finish. So the product that I use is by Dixie Belle and it is called White Lightning. And this is mixed in with warm water in a spray bottle. And I actually put White Lightning on here so I know that it's the cleaner that I need to use. I also have a bottle of water and I don't want to get the two mixed up. So I take that, mix it in my bottle. I'm going to go back and I'm going to spray it all over my piece. I'm going to spray it very liberally and I'm going to take either a cotton cloth or a paper towel, whatever you have, and you're going to go back and you're going to wipe it down. You're going to continue to wipe this and immediately you're going to see dirt come off on your rag. Of course, I don't have any dirt here because I've already cleaned this piece, but you're going to see a lot come off. And what you need to remember is one coat probably is not enough. You don't want to spray it once and then wipe it off. You want to spray it again and again. And trust me, you're not going to be using a lot because this is in a spray mister bottle. This stuff goes a long ways, a long ways. So spray it liberally all over your piece. Go back, wipe it down. Wipe it until it comes clean. Once you have wiped it down 3 or 4 times, or maybe once is enough, it just depends on how dirty your piece is. But once you wipe it off and it starts being clean and you don't see any dirt coming off, you know you're good to go. Okay, next step, once you've wiped it down, you're gonna go back with the bottle, and we talked about this, we talked about the water bottle, how crucial it is to actually name your bottle so that you don't use the wrong thing, because if you get the White Lightning and the water mixed up, it could mean a difference in failure on your furniture, and you don't want to do that. So you're going to take your water last, and you're going to go back and you're going to mist all over it again. The reason you're doing this is because White Lightning is a powerful cleaner, actually, and it will remove a lot of stuff, and you probably need to wear gloves if you're very sensitive to the product, so just to be safe. But take the water, spray it down, wipe it off, wipe it clean, do it a couple of times, remove all of that residual leftover from the cleaner, let it dry, and then you're ready to go to your next step. Okay, we are ready to sand, and you don't have to sand every piece, but for this piece, this actually was painted before. Somebody had painted, it's got like multiple colors on it, probably 4 coats. This is probably gonna be the last paint job it's gonna get, I'm thinking. So what you wanna do is you wanna go back and sand it down, sand it smooth, remove any chippy paint or anything, and you can either use a piece of sandpaper, like a 220 grit, or maybe even a 150, depending on the surface you want to sand down, or you can go the easy method, and this is what I like. I like an orbital sander because it's quick and easy and it's fast, and I don't have to deal with it. You can actually take these off and replace them. Usually one is all you need. I usually use a 220. I sand all over the whole piece. And I know you're thinking, well, what about all the little areas that you can't get into? When you work with this long enough, you get really good and you're able to get into all those little corners and all those cracks. And in the places that you can't get into, go back with your sandpaper and hand sand it in the corners until it's smooth and it feels good. So that's my tip. Now, after you've sanded this piece, it's gonna have a fine dust all over it. It's not dirt, it's just dust. And it's dust from the paint or the wood or whatever was on it before. That needs to be removed. So you're gonna go back with your water once again, and you're gonna spray this down and you're gonna wipe it down clean, you're gonna let it dry, and then we'll be ready for the next step. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this piece and I'll be right back. Okay, let's talk a little bit about a primer. Have you ever thought about priming your furniture before you paint it? With Dixie Belle paints, that's not always necessary, but it depends on the piece. The piece I have behind me has been painted previously, and it also depends on the color that you want to paint it. This is going to continue to be white, but it needs to be freshened up. It needs to be pretty and white again. Right now it's not, it's dingy and kind of yellowed and got paint showing through from all different colors that are put on it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back, and because I'm painting it white, I'm gonna use a product called Boss, okay? Boss is a stain blocker, and it stops bleed through, and it comes in color. It comes in a white and it comes in a clear. Since I'm painting it white, I'm gonna go ahead and use this Boss in the white just to kind of base coat the whole thing. That way I don't have to worry about any bleed throughs, because when you're painting with a white paint, I would never just go over and paint wood with white paint. I would always put a sealer on it. Also, Boss is also great for blocking odors. So if you have a really stinky piece and you want to get it to smelling better, just put a coat of Boss on it and it's going to be fine. So I'm going to take the Boss. I have stirred it well, and the brush that I like to apply Boss with is called the Mini. This is one of my favorite brushes, and new brushes by Dixie Belle, and I really love it. It's just a good standard, good brush just for painting anything. I love it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put one coat of the Boss on. It's super easy to put on, and it covers pretty well. Sometimes you may need 2 coats. It just really depends, but I think 1 coat for this probably will be fine. I'm not so much worried about too many stains coming through, because it has been painted before and it looks like it had like an enamel based paint on it, which is water based, which is fine, and you can paint over that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a coat of the Boss on, and I'm gonna let it dry, and then we're gonna come back. Hey, welcome back. I let this dry overnight, and the reason I did that is because I'm not in a climate controlled environment. I'm actually in my studio, and I haven't turned my heater on yet. It's just a little bit nippy out here. So if you're painting in your garage or somewhere where you don't have that temperature control between 50 and 90, make sure you give it a little extra dry time. The Boss is a water-based product, and all water-based products have water in them. And think about it. If you don't let it dry properly, that water can still be contained inside the product. And if you paint over it, it may feel dry to the touch, but if it feels a little bit cool, it means it's probably still damp. So you need to let that dry thoroughly before you go to your next step, and that's painting. And the color that I chose today is by Dixie Belle, and it's called Cotton. It is a true white, and I love this so much. I think it's going to be perfect on this little bookshelf. This bookshelf is actually going to be going into a nursery, so white is just perfect for a nursery, right? All the new little babies. Yes, babies. This is going to be for a set of twins, and I'm super excited to do this project. So we're going to take the Cotton, and I'm going to give it a quick shake. This is chalk mineral paint from Dixie Belle, and you don't need to stir it. You know, a lot of paints, they tell you to take a stick and you stir it. I don't stir, I just shake it up. It works perfectly this way. So give it a good shake, mix it well, and then go ahead. I like to tap it a little bit to kind of get the paint down off of the lid, just my little tip. Go ahead and open it up, and you are ready to go. Now, I'm going to use this same brush that I use, and this is a Dixie Belle Mini. And I just washed it out. I just rinse mine with water. I don't even use soap on them. I know, it's just water. It's a water-based product, right? So I went ahead and washed this out. It's good to go. And before I start painting, I always like to dampen my brush slightly, and that allows the products not to absorb so much into the paintbrush, and it just kind of helps it glide across. So I'll give it a quick spritz. I love these little sprayers. You can get these on Amazon. They're super cheap. You can put water in them and spray them. They're perfect for blending techniques, anything you want to do with your paint, but it's great for just dampening your brush or dampening the paint while you're painting, just to kind of keep it moving. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of the Cotton. Doesn't take much. And we're going to go ahead and start painting over the whole surface. And because we use the white Boss, this probably will cover in 1 coat. That was my plan for this, and I'm hoping that works. If it does not, then we'll go back and we'll put a second coat. White paint is not as highly pigmented, so it may take 2 coats, and that's totally okay, because I know with a lot of paints, I have painted sometimes 3 and 4 coats of white just to cover your surface on your paint. So go ahead and put a coat on it. We're gonna let it dry, and then we're gonna come back and inspect it to see if the coverage is good. And if it's not, we're gonna go ahead and put a second very, very light coat over, and I know that it will cover in too. So hang tight, let me get this piece painted and I'll be right back. Okay, I've allowed the paint to dry. I put one coat of the cotton on and went back to inspect it, and it's really pretty good. The coverage is good. There's a couple of spots that it didn't get really good, so I went back with my paintbrush with the same color and I just painted over those spots. I didn't repaint the whole thing, just the areas that needed a little extra coverage, and I think that's fine. So pretty much one coat covers it, maybe with a little touch up, we'll call that 1.5 coats. So I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna get my supplies together, and we're gonna come back and talk about top coats and what we're gonna put on this white piece of furniture. Okay, we are ready to put a top coat on, but before we do that, let me just say that with Dixie Belle chalk mineral paint, you do not have to use a sealer. The only reason I'm using a sealer on this is because, remember, this is going to be something that's used in an infant's room or the twin boys, and I can just imagine the boys crawling up on this as they get older. So I'm going to protect it with a top coat, and what I've chosen is Dixie Belle's top coat. This one is a clear coat, is satin. It also comes in a matte and it comes in a gloss, but I think for satin, I think it's going to be just the right amount of sheen, and it's super easy to apply. Let's go ahead and get it done. Okay, so what I did was I actually didn't shake this because I don't like to shake my top coats, because I think sometimes shaking the top coats puts bubbles in it, and I don't want any bubbles in my finish, but this is so thick that I don't think you're gonna get bubbles. It's not like a polyacrylic. If you've ever painted with polyacrylic, it's pretty watery, and also polyacrylic tends to yellow on top of paint. This does not. So this is exactly what I want to use on this piece of white furniture. I went to the trouble of getting it white and making it pretty. Now I want to keep it that way. So I stirred this gently, and then I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and we're going to use the same brush that we applied the boss and the paint, and now we're going to do it with the same brush because I love the mini brush. Okay, so the top coat is pretty thick. I don't know if you can see this. It is like, look, it doesn't drip. It's like thick, okay? This has a different consistency than most top coats. It's not watery. It's gonna stick on your brush. See, it's not gonna drip and come off. So, and it doesn't take a lot. And when you apply it, you're gonna immediately see the difference, and you're gonna feel the difference in the top coat because it's gonna glide on. It almost feels creamy like lotion. I guess, yeah, almost like a watered down lotion is what it feels like. So I'm gonna take it and just go across in long strokes. What you need to remember about this is that you don't want to overwork it. You want to start from one corner, work your way across, smooth it out, and then stop. Go to your next section. Put a little more on your brush, come back over, all the way across. Just a nice thin coat, and then you're going to stop. Hold on, I got a little piece of fuzz in there, and then you're going to stop. You're going to do this all over the piece, and you're going to do it in sections, and you're not going to go back and overwork it, okay? So just a nice thin coat over the whole piece. See how I'm just brushing that on? And then I'm going to leave it. Once you've completed the whole piece, you're gonna let it dry. It takes about an hour to dry. This doesn't dry like super fast like the paint does, but it does dry. Once you come back and you inspect it, you're gonna notice, because we're using the satin, you're gonna see a little bit of difference in the sheen, which I like. It's gonna give it kind of a buffed finish. Almost like, when I say buffed, almost like if you've ever waxed a piece of furniture and you kind of buffed it, it kind of gives it a little bit of buff look, I guess, for better words. Yeah, it's gonna give it a little bit of that buff look, not so matte like the paint. So inspect your piece once it dries, get it in the light and see it. And sometimes you can see where you missed a little streak, and that's not the end of the world. I promise you can fix that. Once it's dry, go back with the brush, go back over only on those spots and let it dry. It should be fine. It'll look beautiful. If you want to put a second coat on it, you can, but you need to let it thoroughly dry before you put your second coat on. And I'm going to go ahead and finish up this piece and put this Dixie Belle top coat on, this satin, and then when it dries, I'm going to get it all staged for you and set up, and I'm going to show you how pretty this really is. Look how pretty this finish is. Just a nice, soft, buff look. Really a great look on this white piece of furniture. I really, really like the way this turned out. It's so cool.
Hey, thanks for joining me with my basic steps in furniture painting and walking through this with me. This is so much fun, and I think anybody can do it. And if you've never painted a piece of furniture before, don't be afraid to pick it up and just go with it. Dixie Belle has great products, and there's no reason you can't master this look with any piece that you do. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you in the next video. Happy painting.